Hello everyone. Welcome to the Identity Server community call. I'm Darshana Gunawardana from the Identity Server engineering team at WSO2. Today we have a very special session. We have three exciting um, sessions lined up. Before going to those details, let me share some basic information. So if you are new to the Identity Server community call, so this information will be helpful for you. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this is the Identity Server community called GitHub repo. So you can also see the link for this same GitHub repo in the description of the YouTube video. Here you can see the call notes of the previous session, community call sessions we have done. And there are some additional information on the interesting links like Identity Server product page and the Slack channel or the blogs written by the different members of the Identity Server team, etc. So if you go to the Slack channel, so you can see, so we have 750 members in our Slack channel. So this is where you can discuss any topics about the Identity Server. So that every development team member is in this Slack channel, so you can directly interact with them and get clarified on anything on the product, or features, or any feedbacks you have, etc. And also in these different channels, you can get to know about the different milestone releases, GL releases happening in the product, and being up to date on that. Also, if you pick like channel like dev, so you can see what are the different developments going on the product and get share your feedback, etc. directly there. So Identity Server community call usually happen every last Thursday of every month. So in this time, so since the November last Thursday usually being the Thanksgiving holiday, and the December last Thursday going to be seasonal holidays for most of the people. So we thought of combining those two together and have hosted year-end community call with today's session. So this will be our 2020 last session, and in fact this is also aligned with two major announcements we have. So if you go to the today's agenda, so I'll start with this blog section. So where we have two major things coming up. So Identity Server team has been like working on the 5.11 release, and you got to know about the what's happening in the different areas on the product development with the our past community calls. And so this 5.11 release has been officially released, in fact today, like a few hours back. So if you go to the product page, so with the links that we have in the comment call GitHub homepage, so you can see even now can download the latest Identity Server 5.11 release. And in fact, today's session, we are going to have three topics on the session, Identity Server 5.11 release. So one will be done by Ashane, and he will go through the key areas of the new console that we are providing. Can be do the management operation or the develop that's something you can do with our earlier management console. So we're going to have a new console, and there will be a new feature related to the group and role. So earlier Identity Server only had the roles concept. This both group and role related operations. Now we have first class support for different entities as roles and group, and course management API. So this is a new uh, another feature that has been introduced with the Identity Server 5.11. So earlier we used to have this uh, Identity Server has its ways to like uh, exposing some of its needed endpoint for this cross-origin resource sharing aspects. So Oshan will go through with his session on like what's meant by the course and what is needed and what's the older way of we are doing with the earlier releases and what are the limitations and what advantages we have to have, what are the improvements we need to do on that, and uh, go through the like, basic architecture that we have done and demo on that. As the third session, so Madhuranga going to talk about uh, two areas where like so open summer 3 upgrade. So this is something we have been uh, uh, working on to get it done for some time and working very like I think a year and so forth effort has been done to get this done. So Madhuranga will go through on that OpenSML upgrade and the related effect on that, and the another feature as symmetric key encryption. So uh, where like Identity Server 5.11 now do support like encrypting the necessary uh, uh, data it's used to encrypt internally with the symmetric key. So I'll go through some of these areas with the like the 5.11 release blog as well. So Pulaski has written this 5.11 release blog. If I go to that one, so this gives a like nice overview of what's available with the 5.11 release. So like as you might know, like so the Identity Server uh, product now, like we are mainly focusing on the improving the developer experience and get the developers to use the Identity Server product to secure their applications or APIs, etc., and build CIAM products much easily going forward. So 5.11 release also adding new features aligning with that angle, and so mainly we have a new console app, portal that has been written with the React uh, technology and has been like given the focus to um, give the like developer like application onboarding and everything being easier with the uh, new console. And one another aspect that we have introduced with the SDK, where like integrating your securing your application that you build and integrating that with Identity Server uh, has been much easier with now with the SDKs we have. Um, and in fact, we have done a separate community call along with the with the demos and details on the features that we have on these SDKs. So if you look up on the August community call, you can go through the details of the SDKs and features we have. And so integration with the HashiCorp. So this also we have discussed in our last community call. Uh, so Sumedh uh, and Sumedh has done a session on this HashiCorp and how and done a demo on this as well. So if we go through the feature highlights briefly, so I mentioned the new console for the developers and administrators. So where we have I have two separate view, uh, two personas that onboard or so in the developer perspective, where develop the CIM products applications and integrate with Identity Server to get those secured those application, and there will be an administrator role as well if you are like playing doing user management, those kind of things. uh, so there will be clear separation of these two views, and Ashane will go through in this session and show you uh, what what are these distinct things that we have apart from our management console. What are the new things we have? So as I mentioned earlier, so we have the Java, .NET, and Android SDKs, and release with can be used with the Identity Server products now. So you can check on the details on these things with the our August community call. So today's session, Ashain will go through on detail on this group and role separation as I mentioned earlier, and Madhuranga will go into details on the symmetric key encryption and how we can run that, and with a demo on this. HashiCorp thing we have done in the our going in details in our earlier uh, October uh, community call. So this is another new thing that we introduced every um, endpoint that Identity Server has can be now used with a tenant qualified manner. So earlier with the multi-tenancy of the Identity Server, earlier for some resources that you have to have access those endpoints, common endpoint for all the tenants. Now with the new version, you have the ability to like provide distinct tenant different endpoints for different tenants. For example, if you get the auth endpoint for the authorized endpoint, so that can be exposed uh, for different tenants with a different URL. So that will be helpful if you are doing a multi-tenant deployment. You need the tenant separation, source isolation, and can be tracked differently, etc. So this is a new feature that we are doing throughout the product, and so so there will be like this capability in the 5.11 release. So again, this cost management feature. So Oshan will go through on detail on today's session on this, and OpenSML upgrade. Uh, Madhuranga will go into in detail today's session. So apart from that, we have made uh, 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 slightly minor level improvement. So, but that will be directly helpful for the CIAM different use cases where um, ability to trigger like SMS based verification for the mobile number, or the same for the email change, etc. Likewise, there will be like these are only like a few highlights that we have done on that improvements angle. Yeah, so that's it. So from the Identity Server 5.11 angle, so there will be like continuously uh, new improvements that we are working on, like onboarding new SDKs and etc. And so Maliti has done a session in our earlier community call on the product roadmap, etc. So if you are uh, willing to know about more in details, you can uh, check on that community call and get to know about like what are the apart from the 5.11 release, that the features we have discussed, what are the things that we have in the pipeline in the near term and middle term and long term plan. So so we have uh, Pulasti and Nipuni from the team has done the release webinar uh, also yesterday. So so you can uh, go to like WSO2 um, page and and find out the release webinar and like get to know about the this every feature that we discuss here uh, in detail in there as well. So moving to our um, second major announcement. So so if you recall, in the last community call, like we Identity Server has been recognized as a strong performer in the Forest CIM Wave 2020, and we are happy to uh, uh, announce another recognition done by Kupinja call. So Omidu has written a blog on that. So Identity Server has been recognized as a leader in CIAM with the latest Kupinja call leadership compass for the CIAM platform. Um, so where Identity Server has been named as a overall leader as well as a technology leader as an innovation leader. So in this blog post, Omidu is mentioning on details on the inclusion criteria of the Kupinja call site, what are the factors that they have evaluated, and in different capabilities that Kupinja call uh, identified as a required capability for a CIM solution, how WSO2 Identity Server addresses them, um, etc. So I will not go into those details, but so this is a nice comprehensive blog by Yamidu on explaining every angle of the identity server, how those each and every aspect has been evaluated on the identity server, and how what are the features that can be utilized for those things. So and finally, like this gives the like a nice overall representation of the uh, ratings on the different angles. So you can see like identity server has been rated in balancedly uh, in every aspect, and then even like we are continuously working on to improve the things in this angle. So in summary, like so these are the things that Kupinja Call has been identified as like a key strength of the identity server. So I'll just quickly go through them, and like so having the like greater support for the identity standard. So like so we have strong support and the compliance and the with the open standards, and that's been a key core strength for us for many years, and been all using those features and to get integrate with different vendors and to applications. And so uh, being with the like the uh, uh, and since Identity Server comes with the WSO2 platform where uh, I have a strong integration uh, focus, so and having our own API manager, etc. So Identity Server extremely uh, like aligned with the API security aspects, and like being continuously used and improve its features to support very strong first class API security cases where for the our API, along with our API manager product as well as the Identity Server along have those capabilities. Uh, so this has been noted as another key strength of the Identity Server. And of course, like the connector store we have, like having the multiple social authenticators, multi-factor authenticators, etc. being give the ability to flexibility to use different use cases to these authenticators, whether it can be social or the multi-factor that you are looking for, and the scalability and the uh, partners with the different areas that you want to work with also has been recognized. So with that, I'll move to the our last blog that has been written by the Visa. So here she simply explained in simple terms. So why why this key rotation is needed, and etc. Starting from the basic concepts uh, what is encryption and decryption, what is what is the pitfall if you don't have the key rotation, and what are the limitations you will have, and what is meant by key rotation, uh, and uh, and how somebody do rotate keys, like if you wanted to do that, and etc. So this will be aligned with the last session that Madhuranga going to do with the symmetric key encryption and so forth. So um, with that, let's start our uh, first session. So uh, there Ashwin will go through the key highlights of the console and the group and role separation together. So over to you, Ashwin.
Okay, thanks, Darshana. So let me share my screen. Darshana, can you stop sharing your screen? Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. So we are really excited about today's our new release, Identity Server 5.11.0. So with that, I'm going to talk about the key highlights of our new React-based console in this session. So before going to the new portal, so this is the portal we had earlier in the management console, right? So if you are familiar with WSO2 Identity Server, so this is the place you would come to do the user management or to create applications, identity providers, any other stuff, right? So okay. Okay, so with the latest release, we have introduced this new React-based console, which will almost have the same features which we have in the previous management console, but we have not we have not deprecated the all management console as we are shipping this new console as a beta release. So let me logged into the console. So I have created an admin user called Ashane here. So okay. So when you logged in here's the place you will land in. So in this portal we have written based using React, and also it consumed the REST API we have provided in the WSO2 Identity Server. So in this console, so if you go to this right side, you can see the user you have logged in, and also you will have a link to the My account, which is the other React portal we have to manage, I mean, for the end users. Okay, so in this console, we have two main sections called develop and manage. In here we have like separated these features to give you a better user experience. So let me go through the developer section first. So as a developer, you would come to this console and to configure an application. Let's say you want to configure an application. So you would come to developer section, and when you come here, you can see the available applications you have configured. If you want to configure a new application, you can click a new application section button. So then you will come to this page, which you have a set of application templates we have pre-configured there. So in the previous management console, we didn't had this kind of templates for the application section. But here to give you a better experience and to make your life easy, so we have separated out these type of applications and given you a configuration, I mean the templates which you can configure easily. So as example, let's say if you want to configure a web application, so you can pick the web application template here. And in the first page, you will have to enter your application name, let's say my application. So then then what you have to do is, so for your application, you would need an protocol to communicate with WSO2 Identity Server, right? So we have, in this template, we have provided the most commonly used open standards, which is OpenID Connect and SAML. So for your web application, let's say you want to use OpenID Connect. So, and then you have here, you have to define the redirect URI. That is the URI you want to redirect back after the successful login. Let's say I have a redirect URI called my application / callback. I'm adding this value. Okay, so I think we are done with the configuration now. So even in the right side, we have a help section. So you can get some idea about the configuration you need to do here. So then you can click the register button. So then your application has been configured successfully, right? So then what you need is, so since you have configured the OIDC protocol, you would need an client ID and a client secret, right? So if you come to the access section, you can see so the created client ID and client secret for your application, right? So and then so in the attribute section, you would have the place where you can configure a set of attributes if you want for your application. Let's say you want a country and a name for your application to receive when a user is authenticated. So then you can select these attributes and save. And also, let's say in the sign-on method, we have provided a way to configure your authentication flow actually. So if you, let's say as a default, it will only have the basic authenticator, which is the username and password login, right? So, but let's say if you want to configure and multi-factor authentication, so you would need another step after the basic authentication, right? So then you can add another step, and then here right side we already have pre-configured authenticators. Let's say you want to add TOTP as your second step, so you can just drag and drop the TOTP authenticator here. So then it will be used in your authentication flow. Apart from that, if you want more advanced use cases, so you would have to go for adaptive authentication scenario. So you might familiar with adaptive authentication, or else you can refer our documentation and see it's very powerful feature that we have. So here you can configure the adaptive authentication scripts, and also we have provided some of the templates to make your life easier. So then let's say we want to configure a role-based adaptive authentication scenario, then you can get these templates, and maybe you can do some tweak there and make to along with your use case. You can do that, and here also we have provided these mode changes. You can have that as well. So yeah, so those are the basic configurations, I mean, we have provided for your application. Apart from that, let's say you want some additional configurations, more advanced use cases. Still, you have all these configurations here in different sections. The same way, I mean, the same configuration set you had in your previous management console, you can do it from here as well. But if only it is required, right? But within using this template, you will have the basic the minimal configurations you would need to integrate your application with the WSO2 Identity Server. So you can do it, and you can get this client ID and client secret, and you can directly connect your application with the WSO2 Identity Server without much effort. So yeah, that is the application. So apart from the web application, you have single page desktop applications, mobile, and if you are an expert on this you can go for the custom application, and you can select the other protocols there, WS Federation and any other apart from the protocols provided here. You can select any other available protocols and you can configure based on a requirement. So then we have this identity provider section, and there also we have like similar concept, very developer friendly concept here. So we have similarly in application. So here also we have template and wizards to create identity providers. So in the landing page, we have provided the most common identity providers such as Google, Facebook, and the common protocols, OpenID Connect. Or else, if you want some additional IDPs, you can go to the expert mode, and then you can give your name. And here also we have provided support for like image URLs. You can add any images for your application. So okay, so when you create the application, you give the name, it will create the application, and in the authentication section, you can pick the what is the authenticator you need for this identity provider, right? So in here, you will have the common popular authenticators, Twitter, Facebook, Google, Office 365. Apart from that, if you want to configure some of the third-party identity provider using the open standard, you can do that also from here. Also, you will have email OTP, SMS OTP. Those kind of configuration also will be available here. So this is also like it's like a wizard, so you can easily understand what are the configurations you will need to do while you are doing the configurations. So most of the things have the descriptions, and these are very self-descriptive. So okay, so this is about the developer section. So let's see if you want to let's go for the manage section, what we have here. So here we have this user role management and user store configurations, and all the other configurations we had in the previous management console. Like here you can see we had different configuration sections. Similarly, we have provided those configuration capabilities in the new console as well. So here, if I go to the user section, so I have pre-configured set of users. If I go select one of the users, I can see their user profile. I can do update and change password, reset password here, and you can see the groups and roles of that user. And also one cool thing here is we have provided the session details of those particular users, right? You can, as admin, you can log in to the manage section, and you can see what are the available sessions of these users. And if you want, even you can terminate those sessions. So apart from that, so let's go for the user store section next. So here also we have provided some improvement and easy way to configure a user store in the WSO2 Identity Server. If you click the new user store, here we have provided these templates for the available user store types. So we have we have support for these at the out-of-the-box support for these user stores. And let's say I want to configure a read-write LDAP user store. Okay, so then I can here give the name in the general section. I can give a description and the URL. So I have running. So I have LDAP running in my local machine. So I'll give that URL here, and the connection details you can give here. So that is the basic detail you want to configure your LDAP to connect your LDAP to your WSO2 Identity Server, right? So in the next, when you click next, so you will have the user section. So there you can clearly understand what are the configurations you need to do here. So these are related to users, right? So when you fetch in the users from your user store, you will need to configure user search base, and the other list, user list filters, and all the other relevant regex, username regex, and all stuff related to users can be found in this section. And then if you want to then if you click next, you can see the group section here. So these are all the available available configuration for the groups, such as group search base and other relevant regex and all the stuff you want to configure. And in the final step, you will have the summary that you have configured, and you can finish. So it will take like couple of seconds to uh, like add the user store, deploy the user store. When you refresh, you can see the new user store have been added, right? So you can, if you go to there, you can see the configuration. So then if you go to the user section, so I can see a couple of users coming from the secondary users store I just added. So these two users coming from this new user store, new LDAP user store. Okay, so yeah, that's how you can easily configure a user store in your new console. So then one of the key concept we have introduced with the new release is a group and role separation concept. So let me quickly like explain this concept. I think it will be easy to explain using this diagram. So in the previous ID server versions, we had this role concept. If you go to the previous management console, you can configure roles, but we didn't have such concept like group and role separate concept, right? So here what we have done is we have introduced this new group and role separation here. So let's say if you have a user in your user store, so the group is some kind of a collection of the users, right? So in your user store, that is what now we call as a group. So even if you are familiar with LDAP or Active Directories, so you have this group concept there. So you can directly map that group concept to identity server new group concept. So apart from that, we have this role. So let's say if you want to give permission to set of users different permissions, so we can create a role within the identity server system, right? So then you can bind a set of permissions related to within the identity server system with that newly created role. So if you want to assign those permission to these users, you have two ways to do that. So you can either directly assign a single user to this newly created role, or else if you have a set of users, you need to give these permissions, different permissions. You can create a group in your user store with the collection of users, and you can then assign that group to the newly created role. So then similarly, all the users will have the same permission level which you have defined to this particular role here. So that's a brief description about this users and role concept. So you can configure this in the new console here. We have separate sections for groups and roles. So as an example, I have created this role called developer. So if I show you the permissions, so here I have removed some of the permission related to user management. Let's say we have removed some of their permission related to user edit and update for this role. So if we want to give these permissions to another users, so let's say I have a group. I have already created a group called dev team in the primary user store. Also, you can see there are a couple of there are some other groupies in the secondary users too as well. Let's go for the primary role. So this is the dev team. So I have already assigned two users here, right? Peter and Tony. So, but so yeah, for this role we have assigned these two users, and also we have assigned this group to this developer role. So we have so what our expectation is, so we want to give this developer role permission to all the available users of this dev team group. Okay, so then let's log in as Tony. Logged out. Okay, so when I logged in as Tony, so if you go to the management section, manage section, users, user section, so you can only see here the Tony can only view the users, right? So he cannot edit or update the user profiles. So then that way you can use this group and role separation, and you can assign any permission levels to your users and give them those permissions accordingly. So yeah, that's another key thing we have in this new console. Apart from that, so we have these email templates. We have redesigned this email template experience as well. So in here, let's say if you want to configure any password reset success email template, if you go there, so in here we here itself we have provided this like view template support. You don't need to go for the like go to the email and see. You can easily see the email templates from here as well. So this is the so how it will look like when you send in the email. And if you go to the edit, you can like directly edit your HTML code from here, and you can get the preview of that email templates. So that is very useful feature when you are configuring email templates for your applications, right, in different scenarios for different use cases. So apart from that, we have this remote configuration and password policies, user onboarding configurations, and all the other, and the certificate management. You can see here, you can see the certificate details and those kind of attribute. So this is the claim section we had in the previous management console. So we have, it is now we call attribute dialects. So likewise, so we have almost all the features available in the management console. So as I mentioned earlier, so this is like we are sending this as a beta release. So we would really appreciate your your feedbacks on this, so you can download the our product, latest product, and try this new console, and you can give our feedbacks, and you can, if you find anything, you can report in our GitHub, and you can mention, you can reach to us our Slack channel and anything. So it will be really helpful, so we can hopefully we can completely move from old management console to new console in the future releases. So I think that's it. So what I have planned today. So if you have any further questions, you can ask. Over to you, Darshan.
Okay, thank you, Ashain. So it's a really descriptive session that you have done. So let's move to the next one. The cost management features that introduced in the 511 by Oshan. So, Oshan, over to you.
Yeah. Ashwin. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so hello everyone. I hope everyone's relatively fine despite these trying times. So let me get on with this very quickly. The new cost feature of WSO2 Identity Server 511. So before before going into that, I'll give you a very small introduction to the course. Uh, so, so course in short is cross-origin resource sharing. It is also a mechanism for controlling access to a resource located outside of a given domain. So I have included a small diagram here. You can understand it. Let's say that we have certain web page in domain A, and you also have two web servers in also in domain A and domain B. Let's say that an image in this website is getting requested from the domain A. So it's a same origin request, but if there's another image or maybe font or something that is being requested from the domain B, that is a cross-origin request. So why does this matter? Why does it matter that why should we care about cross-origin requests? So here's why. I'll give you a small scenario to get a idea about why it is important. Let's say that you have a certain api.mydomain.com somewhere, and you have configured session cookies as the authentication method for this particular API. So there's a user who access this API through a good domain and using his credentials, of course. And when he authenticates against the API, there are certain cookies saved in his browser. So when the user visits another domain, which might be a bad domain, it might try to use those same cookies and send requests to your API, right? Because the cookies are destination oriented, because we can't really control which service can send them. So anyway, that is where cores come in. You can control access to your own web server to from where they can call your service and such. And cause I'll tell how cost request operate in a very simple manner. So let's say you have a client in domain X and server in domain Y, and the client sends a request to the server in domain Y. That's a cross-origin request, right? So the browser actually stops this request from progressing, and instead it sends a request called pre-flight request. This is in layman's term, this is more like a request asking whether it can send a course request to the server. So the server intercepts the request, and you can see there are specific headers. The access control allow origin header, access control allow methods, and other headers like that. And if it is acceptable for the server to get request from this domain, it reply to this pre-flight request, and according to the response of this pre-flight request, the browser sends the actual request. So that is the most basic flow of the course request. And yeah, anyway, let's get on with the identity server and the course. So even before the identity server 5.11, we had a course feature that is actually a course val and an open source, sorry, a course filter, an open source one developed by the transaction company. So if we want to add allow course origins for certain origins, what we had to do was add a small configuration into a web XML file. So it might look like this. In here, this is just a sample configuration. We have allowed mydomain1.com and example.com as allowed course origins, and we have set get, head, post, and options as supported methods. So this was what we had before identity server 5.11. But there were actually a very like very major shortcomings with this existing cost filter. The most prominent one being that you have to restart the identity server in order to add a new cost origin. I mean that that can be a cumbersome task, right? Let's say that you have a identity server configured in an environment where there are multiple tenants, and each tenant might have different number of apps. So whenever each of them wants to change a course origin, you have to restart the identity server. I mean, that's not very realistic, right? And another thing is that so you can see that we put all our allowed course origins in here, so it might get difficult to manage when the number of course origins grows over time, right? I mean, if there are like 100 course origins, so it would be hard to identify which course origin belongs to which application. So in order to mitigate these issues, we came up with a new design. So our primary requirements were, the first one was that we had we should be able to add the course origins while the identity server is running, and it should work. This was the primary thing. And the next one was that we should be able to configure course per tenant, so it would be easier to manage. The first requirement was actually simple enough, but when we were looking into the having course configurable at the tenant level, the issue was that it required uh, tenant URL mode. I think Darshana told you a little bit about it earlier. So the issue is that we have tenant URL mode as a qualified tenant URLs as a beta feature. So actually we present even the course feature as a beta feature as of right now, because the tenant URL mode is not enabled for all the endpoints in the identity server. Anyway, for the part that it is working, this is our course architecture. We have a course val, and there's a separate course service which communicates with the database directly, which facilitates between the communication of the val and the uh, stored course configurations. And also there's a separate course management OSGS service. This is actually connected with three REST APIs: the server configuration API, application management API, and newly introduced course API. So I'll get into these REST APIs a little bit later. Uh, let's get on with the the new state of how we are going to use this feature. So as you can see in here, we have I have shown you that how how we can add course configurations in the identity server before 5.11. So the same configuration can be added in the deployment tunnel even right now. I mean, if that is your cup of tea, if you want to add the server course configurations at the server level, you still can, but at the deployment tunnel file. And also you can add them via REST APIs, but I'll get on with the REST APIs while I'm showing the demo, so that we could maybe save a little bit of time. So I'll show you how we can use the deployment tunnel to configure our new course. And for this example, I'm actually going to use the same application that is bundled with the identity server, which is the My Account app. So this is more like a small trick that we are using when you are developing developing these apps. Uh, so you have the identity server and you have the My Account bundled with the identity server, but we can run a separate My Account, and if we were to connect them together, the request passed through both of these would be course request. So that way we can test the course feature, right? So in order to run this, I have cloned this and already set up this. So in my right side, uh, this is actually not very important for you to see the what is happening here. Anyway, in my right side, I am running the My Account application, and in my left side, I have an instance of the identity server. So let's go to our console and see this state of things. Let me log in with the default username and password. I haven't changed anything. This is just the default applications that we have with the identity server. So since my account app is running, and you can see that the identity server is running on 9443 and my account is running on 9000. So the request must be course request, right? If I try to go to the, let me turn on this console. Okay. If I try to visit the my account right now, we can't actually view that because the identity server by default blocks the cost requests from this new my account hosted at localhost 9000. So let me stop the server and I'll add the configurations that is needed to run the my account on a separate uh, allow the my account cost request to the deployment terminal here. So this is more like a similar method. We have the allowed origins and we have the supported methods here. I'll start this again. You might be wondering because I said that it was one of our key requirements that this had to be worked without restarting the server. I mean, this is just only one way that you can apply cost origins. You can even do it from the interface too. I'll show that too. Until this identity server restarts. So let's move on to the APIs a little bit. So we have 3 REST APIs associated with cost configurations, right? The server configuration API, application management, and the cost REST API. So we even had the server configurations API even before, but now we have added 2 endpoints in order to configure, let the users configure cost configurations per tenant level. And these are not just origins. You can also configure some other things like whether it's supposed to support credentials, or whether we are supporting any header or specific types of header, things like that. And if you go to the management console, uh, so this is more like a feature that we introduce in order to improve the user experience. I mean, identity server right now, it supports cost configurations at the tenant level, but it is possible to configure them through the applications in order to manage it easily. So you can configure the cost per application through the OIDC inbound put here through the parameter, through the allowed origins parameter here. And the rest get and delete is also applicable. And this is the cost API. That's the new one. It's just an API that you can use to retrieve all the cost configuration, all the cost origins configured for a tenant. And also you can maybe, if you like, you can view the uh, applications that have requested to allow a specific cost origin. Anyway, I think our identity server has started already. Okay, so this is started, and this configuration should already be applied. I'll just try to access the my account again. Okay, here you go. So no cost issues this time, right? And not only from the deployment terminal, you can even set cost from the interface. If you go to the console, so these are the 2 applications that we have, and I can see that my account application and the console application. In the my account, in the access section, uh, there's a place where we can add allowed origins. Instead of adding this origin to the deployment terminal, you can even add it to here, and it would just work fine. So I guess it is just about what we have implemented with the cost management feature. And please let us know if you find any bugs with it. So over to you, Darshan.
Okay. So the Oshan has been the main developer working on this course management feature, and you can ask any question on the chat. I think will be very helpful for developing many applications coming over the time. So, okay, moving to the next one. So we have Madhuranga on the symmetric key encryption and the OpenSML 3 upgrade. So over to you, Madhuranga.
Thank you, Darshan. So let's start with the OpenSML upgrade. So this is the issue we have created to track the OpenSML upgrade. So OpenSML is the library we have used in SAML, WS Trust and WS Federation implementations. And as it's mentioned here, the support for the library, OpenSML 2 library, has reached end of life a few years back. But we haven't faced any security issues or anything with the library. But since it has reached end of life, so security scanners, static code analyzers, and everything might report this as a vulnerability. So analyzing those reports and resolving those issues can be a problem and a headache for everyone. So we have tried to update this library several times, but because of the WSO2 and Rampart dependencies involved in the process, we had to revert back several times, and at the end we were successful. And
so Madhuranga,
yeah, sorry, I haven't shared.
Yeah.
Let me share quickly. Sorry about that. So you can see the screen. So we have upgraded the OpenSML implementation in SAML SSO implementation, and we have implemented WS Federation using CXF, and now there is no dependency for OpenSML 2 in WS Federation implementation as well. And we had to create a connector for WS Trust implementation, and now this connector can be downloaded from our connector store. So that's mainly about the OpenSML upgrade. And now let's move on to the symmetric key encryption. So from 5.1.0 release onwards, we are using symmetric key encryption by default in the product. So the algorithm we are using is this AES GCM no padding algorithm. And so there is no configuration actually needed to enable this, but you have to configure. So with the default product, we are shipping a sample secret key that's used with the symmetric key encryption, but for a production setup, you have to generate a random key and use it for the symmetric key encryption. In the same time, it's recommended to use asymmetric key encryption to encrypt this symmetric key. So I'll show what we need to do in the demonstration. So with this process, now you can rotate the master key used in the deployment for encryption. So that's required in some of the compliance requirements, and but at the moment we are not supporting rotation for symmetric key. That's tracked in our roadmap, and we'll be implementing it in the future. So that's the basic idea behind the symmetric key encryption. So let's see how it can be implemented. So I have a fetch distribution without any configuration. So first I have to generate the random number as the secret key. So I'm using OpenSSL command, this command, and I have generated the random number. So you can use any tool that can support this functionality to generate this random number. So I want to go to deployment terminal. So basically, what I need to do is add this generated number as the encryption key. So as I mentioned, it's usually recommended to encrypt this key with the symmetric key encryption. So I'll add the required configurations for those as well. So we have to do some modifications to this configuration. Let's delete it and retry. So so you have to add the symmetric key. Like this under secrets section, and you can use any key here and point to the secret value. So now we have to change the encryption section and add the value as a parameter like this. So this symmetric key and this key is same. So now we can save the configurations. So that's the main configurations you need to do in the deployment terminal. Now you need to run the cipher tool to encrypt this secret value we have added. You have to go to bin folder and run the command. So you will be asked to enter the password of the keystone. Now let's go back to the deployment terminal and see what has happened. So if we open the deployment terminal file, you can see the symmetric key we have added previously is now encrypted with asymmetric key encryption. And so if we go to the Carbon XML file, this is where the actual configuration is happening. It's so at the moment it will have the default value. So when we start the server, so the sample value we initially had in the file will be replaced. Since we have enabled the cipher tool, we have to enter the keystone password at the server startup. Now, let's go to the Carbon XML and see what has happened. as you can see, the secret key we initially had is replaced with this alias, and now the configuration is basically done. So let's start the server and see if it has actually applied properly. To verify that, I'm going to create a second user store. In the second user store, we have to specify a password. So with the symmetric key encryption, this password should be encrypted with symmetric key. So let's wait until the server is started. Yeah, now the server is started. Let's go to the console application. Let's log in with the default admin credentials. Let's add the secondary system. I'm going to add the JDB user store. Let's add some name and let's set the connection URL. I'm adding a S2 based user store for the demonstration. Set the driver name. So for the connection is correct. Now in the background, you can see the user store configuration is done. And let's go to the configuration file and see what has happened. By this file, you see this file, it should have the encrypted password we have provided. So it says encrypted true and property name is password. So let's take this password, encrypted password value, and see what's actually there in the value. So this is a base 64 encoded value, and let's try to decode it. Increase the font size a little bit. So as you can see, this is a JSON value, and it has the actual encrypted password, and we have the algorithm, which is what we discussed initially, AES DCL no padding algorithm, and we have the initialization vector. So as you can see now, the encryption is done using asymmetric key encryption. Which, like, this is internal data we are encrypting with symmetric key, as opposed to symmetric key encryption we had in the product earlier. So that's it about the demonstration. If you have any questions, you can post it in the chat. Over to you, Darshan.
Okay, thanks Madhuranga for the end-to-end demo on this symmetric key encryption. Okay, so that comes to our end of the session. So thanks for being with us till the end. And so we have a minor announcement coming on. Like, so Identity Server will be turned to 13th on the December 11th. So you will be please get in touch with the Identity Server Twitter channel and the YouTube channel, etc. So yeah, you'll get some information about the interesting thing from the team, etc. And Yeah, so we'll have our next community call on the January 28th, the last Thursday of the January. So, so until then, so see you on the next year.